You know, in late January, I had one of the great experiences of my life. My wife and I went to San Diego, and it's a gathering of um, the incoming district governors from around the world. There's 528 districts in in Rotary globally, and we're all together for a week, which was a fascinating experience in many ways. Um, Rather incredible. A lot of the meetings were translated in 8 languages, and it really gives you an appreciation of how big Rotary is. It's a unique organization. I don't know any like it that literally operates around the world. We have clubs in 203 countries today. To put that in perspective, the United Nations is represented with 190 countries. And back when the United Nations was formed in the 1940s, the Rotary was at the table. So I give you some perspective of how big Rotary is, how worldwide and global it is, and also I think as we go through to today and we go through some of the foundations, and that's really our point today, is to try to cover some of the basics, uh, the most important parts in my mind of Rotary, and really has an impact and an opportunity for every club. We're going to hear about public image. We're going to hear about membership. We're going to hear about foundation and a few other things, but we're going to focus on those because that's something that all of us have a responsibility for, because they're going to make a lasting impact, I think, in our world. Uh, First day we were introduced out there to the new president-elect for RI, who'll take over in July. His name is Holger Knack. He's the first RI president from Germany. And one of the first things we learned that first day was what Holger's theme is going to be. Each president gets to be able to do that. And he named his theme for the year, Rotary Opens Opportunities. You can see the logo. It represents 3 doors. The colors there represent Interact, Rotaract, and Rotary. And that'll give you the first clue that Holger has objective of working with youth, of our clubs working with youth, our clubs getting younger by attracting younger people. But there's a lot of focus that we're going to be working on this year regarding younger people. If you could see the top of that slide, he also introduced some ideas. He's asking all Rotarians to create opportunities to strengthen their leadership, help put service ideas into action, and improve the lives of those in need. Now, little did we know back there in January that the need worldwide would be much greater than even then because of this COVID-19 that we're all involved in. But certainly it's appropriate when we think that way today. One of the things I'll ask you to do as we go through later on in the resource package that was emailed out a couple nights ago, is to just think of what opportunities you and your club have with Rotary. You know, just start thinking that way. I think it'll be helpful to sit back and take some time as we go through our days and our weeks. And you as the leader of the club, what opportunities do we have this year? I hope that form, which is in the resource package, allows us to jot down some new ideas, to think innovatively about how we can make some differences in our club, and again in our community, and thus in our world, by just looking at new ways outside of the way we've often done just everything year after year in our club. And while I'm thinking about that, I'm old enough to remember slide projectors. I don't know how many of you do, but When I first started in my career, I remember I had a manager who at that time was an older fellow, and he said, um, you know, I know some of you are note takers, and I happen to be one. I appreciate taking notes, but I know some of us aren't so inclined that way. But he made a statement that's always stuck with me, and I was with him a few years, and I remember him constantly preaching this. He said, just keep beside the notepad, just keep another little notepad that you can jot down, just a couple nuggets as you go through these meetings. And today we got 3 hours worth. I hope you'll come up with at least 2 or 3 things that you can write down and say, boy, that sounds good to me. I'm not sure I knew that much about this before. I really want to dig into this, and I want to find some champions in my club that can maybe help work through this and improve it in our organization. But I hope you'll be able to find some good nuggets today. Holger also laid out 3 messages, which you can see on the slide now, that are important, I think. And he says each and every club should host at least one strategic meeting each year. When you ask, what should our club be like in 5 years? What steps should we take to achieve that vision? What value do we bring to our members? And he's suggesting find someone, I call them champions, to lead that effort. You can't do everything alone, and it's helpful to be able to have people that'll step up, and also it's a good way to help develop those people as future leaders in our club. Number 2, select new members carefully. Make sure that they're a good fit with your club and that your club meets their expectations. It's interesting when you look at the reasons why people join and why people leave Rotary, and that's one of them. It isn't what they thought it was going to be when we came in. So later on, we're going to be talking about membership. Mark's going to talk about that for us today, but that'll be one of the things he mentions. There is no wrong age to become a Rotarian. Now, I know that's a difference for some of you, because we in the past have had a kind of a minimum age, 30, 35 to join Rotary. That no longer applies. We're looking for younger people. We need younger people. Many of our clubs, if we look around, the average age is 65 or 70. And if we can project ahead 25 years or even 5 or 10 years, what's our club going to look like then? So it's imperative that we make an effort to try to attract younger people to our clubs. Number 3, continue your club's efforts to end polio. You know, we've made this incredible effort over the last 35 years to eradicate polio. When it's finished, it'll only be the second disease in the history of the world that has been eradicated. Now, we're kind of a plateau right now. We were very close, down to 2 countries. Now the COVID has hit us, and so we haven't been able to inoculate, and none of those kind of missions have been able to take place in the last few months, literally across the world, including Pakistan, where there are still some active cases. The virus is there too. So things are on hold, and at the same time, some of the money that Rotary normally pushes towards this has been directed towards the COVID efforts, which is all great too. We're excited to be able to do that, but we also need to return to thinking about polio as we fulfill the promise that he made to the children of the world. I want to talk to you a little bit about the citation this year. Every president comes up with a new citation, and in this one, it's different than in the past. Kind of one of the key words this year is flexibility, and the uniqueness of Rotary clubs. You know, we've got 56 clubs in our district, and as we go across them, we see differences to some extent between all of them. And so keeping that in mind, what has happened with the citation this year is Holger, again, this was determined before the COVID arrived, so it's interesting to look back on it now, but there's 25 goals. When you go into My Rotary, you'll see them, and a copy of them is in the resource pack I emailed 2 days ago. But to implement them, you have to go into My Rotary, which means you have to have a My Rotary login. So that's one nugget, that simple one to take from here. Get everybody in your club to get a My Rotary login. The citation, though, isn't that you have to accomplish all 25. You get the citation if you accomplish 13 of them. So you've got the flexibility to which ones fit your club, and please take advantage of that. There's also some strategic plan objectives that I'd like to mention, and here they are. This is something we could spend the whole day on, so we're not going to do that. But I'll just read the 4 main themes that Rotary has developed in the new strategic plan that's been enacted. Increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance participant engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. You can see there's several subtopics there, but those are, as we look at programs this year and as we look at how we can have a great successful year, these are things to keep in mind as our priorities and our objectives. The President's manual, that's one of the resources that you have in terms of the toolbox. I've sent out a couple times the PDF copy of that. Some of your newer people may not have received that, so I will send that again to you. But there's some valuable tips in there. So please look through that, spend some time in that, use it as a reference guide this year. There's also, back to My Rotary and the need for that login, there's a learning center on My Rotary that has a great number of courses that will be valuable to you. I encourage you to take a look at that. Yes, there it is. Thank you, David. One of the courses is the Club President's Basics. I think when we go through that, and I've gone through it, there's some good material in there. So I would encourage you to get in and take some time to do that. I know we're all pushed for time, but this allows you, if you can't finish it all in one setting, to save it and then come back and go into it. But it's got some good information, and there are a number of other good courses in there that will be helpful to you. In terms of the leadership development opportunities, in addition to the manual and in addition to that, we've got Rotary Leadership Institute in our district, which is a terrific opportunity for you and other potential leaders in your club to get involved in. It's open to anybody, but I would encourage you to do it. There's 3 courses. Last month, due to the COVID, Julie McCoy, who heads this up for us, many of you know Julie, she's a past district governor, went online with the final course, the course 3. So the next opportunity will be at the postponed district conference, which is going to be August 22nd, 23 in the Ozarks. That is the next opportunity when the next class, but she'll be announcing a schedule for next fall and next spring before long, and hopefully we'll be able to get back together live to do those. But it's some great opportunities there. I'll say this, I was in the first class when it came to our district. I happened to be the president that year, so it didn't help me as much as I think it'll help others. I finished the 3rd course a few weeks before my term ended, but it has helped me greatly since. It gives me a great sense of what Rotary has to offer, and it's a great training program. I really encourage you to do that. The Rotarian magazine, I hope that is something that you're all taking a look at monthly when it arrives in your mailbox. Everybody should be getting that. If not, let me know. But there's some great inspirational stories, and again, it gives you the big picture of what Rotary does. There's zone and webinars, and there's Toastmasters. I'll mention this. This is a new program that is just started, and it's something that there's an interest in. Toastmasters is a program to help people improve their speaking abilities, and there's many towns and cities have them. And David, who you'll hear from shortly, is one of the district leaders in the Kansas City area. But this is a new thing that we think can be a good partnership for us. So go to their website and figure out if there's a club in your area, and I think something you can benefit from. Resource materials. I'll just mention this briefly because I sent it to you. If you didn't get it, let me know. It was sent out on the Club Runner email, and 2 nights ago. But there's several things in there that I'd like for you to take a look at. Unfortunately, when I zipped it, it jumbled up the order of the different components there. I didn't expect that to happen. So when I opened it up, I was quite surprised to see that it wasn't in the order that I thought it was going to be. But at any rate, as you look through it, you'll see some, and some of the forms in there apply to the speakers after me. But at any rate, there's a couple I want to bring your attention to. One of them is the contact preference sheet. You know, we have a lot of ways to contact each other today, and I know in our busy world, some of us prefer Facebook, or some of us prefer texting and so forth. If you would, for you and your president-elect, make sure that you fill that out and get it back to me. We will still send mass emails because that's the easiest and quickest way to distribute information. So please check those. As a leader of your club, there's a lot of them coming your way. But there's other ways here too, on an individual basis. If you prefer to be text and so forth, we'll try to do that. So get that back to me. There's also a goals template. That's something I'd like for you to work through. There's a worksheet, and then input those on My Rotary. That's one of the options of the 25, but that one's an important one. You know, old Coach Bear Bryant, the famous Alabama football coach from years ago, one of the things he said about goals has always been interesting to me. It's not the will to win that matters. It's everybody has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters. And I would say goals is an integral part of preparing to win. And I hope you'll take that to heart and complete that and input it on My Rotary. One other thing I'll mention, and that is regarding, there's a couple forms in there that deal with youth protection and harassment. You know, our world has changed over the years, and it's very important that we're all conscious of that. It's kind of a zero tolerance policy at Rotary. So it's your responsibility to take care of that as the leader of your club. If you see something going on, it's important to notify me, and it goes right on up. But you know, fortunately, we haven't had an issue with youth that I'm aware of in our district, and that's great. That's what we want. But we have a lot of youth programs, youth exchange, RILA, Interact. So there's interaction with Rotarians and youth, and just be conscious of this, okay? So anyway, there's several other things in there. Take a look at that, please. Keywords. I just want to spend a couple minutes on this. Some keywords that I like to, when I think about our year, things that are important to me. Flexibility is going to be more important now than ever. If everything has been done the same way in your club for 50 years, think about some things you might be able to innovate um, to bring some of these new people in and to bring some diversity into your club. Those are important kind of things, I think. Um, be passionate about what you're doing. Um, we're all busy people, and I think we have a list of priorities, and everybody's different there. Certainly family is important. Certainly our business is important. Certainly church is important to some. Those kind of things are not going to change. Some of you are on numerous boards in your community. But you're also the leader of your Rotary Club this year. So I would just ask you, if you got 10 priorities in your life and you're juggling them all, just don't put Rotary up there the year you're president as 8 or 10. Maybe you can make it 4 or 5, or move it towards number 1 for a couple of you. But anyway, I think a simple way to do it is just to set aside 15 minutes a day and say, not just to focus on who's going to be the greeter and that sort of thing has to be taken care of. But I'm talking about really evaluating your club and looking towards what are we doing great? And there are many great things in our club, but what can we improve on? How can we change? How can we attract new people? How can we do more service in our community? So forth. So think some big ideas. Just set aside 15 minutes, whatever your favorite time of the day is, and focus just on Rotary for those 15 minutes. I think by the end of the year, we'll have some terrific opportunities. And most important, fun. Let's have some fun, whatever we're doing in our clubs. I think that's a valuable part of fellowship, and it's something that helps us a great deal. Now, what I'd like to do is to, one more comment on fun. I'm including this. Rotary has a schedule every month. You can see it there. And a copy of this is also in your resources, where there's kind of a theme. I know a couple clubs that really use this and have a lot of fun with it. So especially now that they're meeting on Zoom, so they're getting all dressed up with these various ideas. And anyway, have fun.